Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, predicted that all 95 jobs will be extinguished by 2035. If you're currently in a soul-sucking job, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday until death, and you're noticing and feeling that you are yearning to contribute to something bigger and better, then listen up, because in this video, I'm going to break down how the new paradigm and shift of consciousness is going to influence the workspace and your particular job so that you can be prepared for this transition to overcome it with grace and be prepared for what will come. It's not all bad though. I'm excited. Let's dive deep. Welcome to the Human Design Portal, your safe space to decondition so that you can align with the right people, opportunities, and chances. If you're new here, my name is Maika Gabriela. I'm a human design reader, a deconditioning expert, and the founder of the Transformational Human Design Certification. And I have supported hundreds of angry, bitter, frustrated, beautiful souls to align with their purpose and live an exciting, fulfilling life. We now have a free members area called the Upraising Club, which I invite you to join because there's incredible, beautiful, informative, high value goodies waiting for you. In case you haven't noticed, there's a shift in consciousness happening. And if you're watching this, you have probably been deeply affected by this new awareness about who you are, who you want to become, what your patterns are, how the trauma has informed who you believe to be and what your life experience is. And so all of these things are a result from this shift of consciousness that is happening in this new paradigm we're entering from the human design perspective in 2027. And this will not only affect our interpersonal relationships, our romantic relationships, but it will also strongly affect our workspace and how the market looks like, our jobs and the financial status and workings of the world. So I'm very fascinated to share with you these new findings and the possibility of giving you some tools to be able to move through this very uncertain time in our life with a lot of grace, or at least tools to deal with what's coming. Let's get into it. The last 400 years, we've been influenced by what we call the cross of planning. And the cross of planning is the energy of structure, the energy of discipline. It is all about putting things in place and building authorities and having these outside voices telling us what's right and what's wrong. But as we're moving into the new paradigm, and the new paradigm is going to be an energy of really understanding, who am I? What is my personal consciousness expressed? What is my purpose? This idea that we know from our grandparents or our parents of sacrificing their dreams to create a better future for their children is an energy we're going to see less and less of, because we're very strongly connected to our own experience and our own purpose in this lifetime. And if you have a little bit of awareness, and I'm sure that you do because you're here watching this video, there's a calling inside you, there's a high sensibility that you have for what's coming. You have noticed that people are talking differently. People are experiencing life differently. There is a higher perspective. There is a new consciousness through which we are absorbing what is happening in our life. The other day I was at the gym and there was this woman in her late 60s, and she was saying that while her family was watching a football game, she was, doing therapy on the balcony with her son and going really deep into family structures. And then there was this other trainer from which just from a superficial judgy perspective was a buff bro guy. And he was like, yeah, we threw away the TV in our living room and now the whole family gathers every night and we share our experiences and we support each other and we talk to each other about what happened that day. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful and so incredible. And never in a life would I have ever thought that I'm going to the gym and people are talking about astrology and talking about psychology and opening up and being vulnerable. And so all of this is the energy of the new paradigm. And so what's happening is that we are watching in real time how these structures that felt so, unquestionable slowly crumble and untether. And so the examples that I love using the most is, for example, politics. What do we see of politics? If we look at how our grandparents used to think about politics, or the way that we used to admire the politics of our country, they were like icons. Now they've become memes. Now we're making fun of them. Now the way that they're doing their, campaigns, we know that they are always with a different intention from what they pretend to their audience to be, right? There's an innate mistrust to politicians. And there's no longer this admiration of like, oh, they're politicians, they're different than us, because all of the scandals have taught us that they're just humans like all the rest of us, right? So this kind of like, we see this also with any authority figure, to be honest. We see this with gurus, we see this with celebrities. There is very little of that huge admiration and that sense of differentiation, and there's much more a very human aspect. And so we've moved in the last couple of years of like pointing at people and being like, it is your fault, you have deceived me, to actually thinking about, okay, inside of me and my subconscious, that is actually resonating with the frequency of the person that I'm feeling attracted to, of the person that I'm putting on a pedestal. And so there is really this new awareness that requires radical responsibility and honesty with ourselves to be able to acknowledge our own part in the pain that we're experiencing. And I think that this is such an incredible step that we're taking just as humans and within our consciousness, that we stop blaming everybody for how we're feeling and what we're going through, and actually looking at what our, own patterns are that are coming up, and what is our subconscious trying to tell us, and what is our subconscious trying to heal through experiencing these patterns that are repeating themselves in our life. And so as this pertains to, figures of authority, we can also look at the educational system. Many of us feel disappointed by the educational system because we did not learn how to deal with grief. We did not learn how to write an invoice. We did not learn how to, do our taxes. And so, yes, there's a basic education for reading, writing that is useful to us, but there's so many things that we have not been prepared for in school. And those are things that actually happen in life. And this is something that I'm always so fascinated by, because I quit school when I was 16, but I meet so many young people who, finish the university or finish studying. And especially in the US, where there's such debt, one has to go into to be able to afford this kind of education. That when they're done with university or they're done with their studies, it's like, great, but what does that have to do with the practicality of my job? And oftentimes, there's this promise of having a job that in the current market is not available. And so we've been seeing this since like 10 years or more, that, we don't really get the skills we need to be able to succeed in life in school. And I think that is incredibly fascinating, because it makes us question how we're doing things, why we're doing things, and who it serves. As somebody who has ADHD and dyslexia and has a neurodivergent child, watching my daughter suffer in the school system is absolutely excruciating. And I feel so helpless because I don't know what the best is for her, right? And so we don't have so many references of people who are doing things differently. And that's where the new paradigm comes in. The new paradigm is going to question all of these structures that we thought were solid. And you have been born and you are, feeling this awareness and this new consciousness, and you're experiencing the spiritual awakening right now because you are meant to be part of that change. You have been put in this place, in this moment in time, in this historic moment in time, to help transition into this new consciousness. And another example that I absolutely love is doctors, right? Like, my mom wanted to become a doctor because her parents were like, this is the best thing you can do. Doctors and lawyers were like the thing to become, the people of respect in society. What a doctor says is what it is. They are the ones who have studied. They are the ones that are the smartest. And so we used to go to the doctor, we would be like, yes, exactly, that's what I'm going to do. And what happens now, at least what I notice in my, friends group and the people that I talk to, my clients, and, I have been suffering from an autoimmune disease for over 10 years, and thanks to human design, it's gone into remission. And so I remember when I went to the doctor, I was 27 years old, and I went with my, complaints about my autoimmune. I couldn't brush my hair because everything was hurting so much. I couldn't even cut my own food because my wrists were so swollen. And as a 27-year-old, they recommended, or they actually prescribed medication that gets also used to treat cancer patients. And I was like, a healthy 27-year-old with an autoimmune disease that they couldn't really pinpoint, that kind of felt, psychosomatic. It was like very hard to be able to give me an actual diagnosis. And so that put me on a path of, nutrition and diet and lifestyle, and got me deep into my spiritual awakening, to be honest, because I needed to be resourceful to find other options to remove the physical pain. And I feel like a lot of you have gone through something similar, where our body is yelling for our attention, where our body is telling us no more, we're burned out, we're broke, we're sick. You need to reassess your life, because the way you're living life is not in favor of your authentic energy, and your body's letting you know, right? And so what happens now is that we go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, just put this Band-Aid over your issues with, some pharmaceuticals, and you'll be fine. And we're like, you know what? I'm going to chat GPT my symptoms, and I'm going to figure out an alternative that gets to the root of the cause. And I'm not bashing medicine at all. Like, if I have a broken arm, I'm going to go to the doctor. But for general health, I really think that we do not have the support that we need in the medical system. But luckily, there are so many other people, like getting specified in hormonal health and nutrition and like energetics and all of the other things and pieces that can be, nourishing in the whole of it. And so when we're talking about new paradigms specifically for business, we have to understand that because we all have a unique purpose, and because we all have specific gifts and talents we're meant to share with the world, it is going to be absolutely soul destroying to be in a 9-to-5 where somebody's telling you what to do, how to do, and not having free will and free expression of your life force. Because in the end, your life force is what allows you to vibrate. Your life force is what gets you excited. This whole concept of you have to do the shitty thing. On one, there's an aspect of that, and I think that this gets to be really nuanced, right? So one aspect is the understanding that we need to do things that will move us out of our comfort zone so that we have personal growth. If we're always doing things where we're feeling safe, if we're always doing the thing that we're great at, we're never going to challenge ourselves. We're never going to experience growth, and that stifles our potential, right? But the other thing is trying to force ourselves to do stuff that absolutely tears us apart. So for me, for example, I've always been a very creative kid. I've always loved drawing and singing and dancing and collages and fashion, and just like my creative world has been very, nourished. And so I was really bad, and I'm still very bad at mathematics and numbers, and I do not care. But what happened is that in school, you have to have, the grades and all of the categories. You have to be okay in all of them. And that was just not my case. I was very driven by my teachers. And that's why for me, teachers are so important in our society. And I don't think they get the recognition that they deserve. And so, my parents doing dutifully what they thought was the best made me do all of these extra activities, late supervised homework to get better in math and mathematics and numbers and all of these things that I hated. And I remember how my brain just didn't compute, and it was draining my energy to the max, and it was like yawning, and I was just like, this is the worst thing ever. And so if we understand that the reason we feel great when we're in touch with our gifts is so we continue doing them, right? Like, why do I feel great when I'm, doing this human design video? Why do I feel great when I'm sharing human design knowledge and supporting other people? Because I'm meant to do more of that, right? It's an incentive. It's an inbuilt incentive for me to continue to do the stuff that I love doing, right? It's like, yeah, this is the direction. Versus, I really believe that the reason we don't have energy is because the universe takes the energy from our physical body so that we stop walking onto the direction that leads us off the path to our purpose. And so the reason I'm not meant to be doing math is because there's somebody else who loves that shit and excels at that, and they're meant to be doing it. And so if each and every one of us really just stayed in their zone of genius, and did the thing that gets them most excited and challenge themselves in that thing that gets them most exciting, but was in their space, everybody would have their perfect spot. Like, I always imagine this like a starlit sky, right? We all are these little stars that are meant to shine brightly. And when we do the thing we love, when we do the thing we're passionate about, when we do that weird little thing that just like comes so natural to us that other people love, that's when we find our shining star. And so we're all these, like, we have the potential to be this, like, you know, starlit night sky. But when we start doing stuff that we think we have to because society told us we need to be mediocre at some stuff, then we're taking people's spots. And so, you know, we're not shining our light bright. We're not allowing other people to find their space so they can shine bright. And so it becomes like this very unsustainable way of moving through life. Because in the end, your soul is not satisfied. Your soul is not in its purpose. And I really believe that being in your purpose is nothing but showing up authentically as who you've come to be. But we've been so conditioned, and there's so much fear around showing up authentically and being vulnerable and owning the stuff we actually love doing, because we're afraid of judgment and we're afraid of other people, you know, rejecting us, that pain is intolerable to us. And so the new paradigm is asking us to fully step into whole authentic stuff, is asking us to become responsible for ourselves. This idea that I'm just clocking in my 9 to 5 and I'm done will no longer sustain itself, because your soul is aching. Your soul is in pain. The world needs you to step into your uniqueness to contribute so that we can ascend into this new consciousness. There is no way you're getting yourself out of this in like this comfortable position of like, oh, it's fine. I'm just going to bypass all of the spiritual struggles. I'm just going to try and escape that deep, dark fear that's inside me and that life is continuously throwing at me so that I look at it. I'm going to try to avoid it. We no longer have the capacity to do that because the shift in consciousness is so strong. The stream is so intense. The background frequency is going to shift the way that we experience life in such an intense way that there is no escaping but looking into our own eyes and asking ourselves, who do I have to become so that I am proud of myself? Right now, society is built in a way where we clock in our 8 hours of work and we get paid, we have a monetary compensation. But actually, I don't think it makes any sense at all, because it allows people to continuously be in a position in which they're unhappy, in which they're depressed, in which they lack energy. And the craziest thing is that in that position, you might start telling yourself stories about yourself that aren't even true. You might get feedback of you're lazy, you don't have motivation, you don't have, the capacity for detail, you don't really care. And you might wake up every day going to the soul-sucking job thinking, oh, like, I'm just, I don't have motivation, I'm lazy, I'm not a good person, I don't care about things. And that might be absolutely further from the truth. Why? Because you're in a job that doesn't matches your purpose. You're in a job that doesn't fill you up. You're in a job that is not connecting you to your higher gifts and purpose. And so you do not care because you actually don't care, and that's okay, because you're not meant to be caring about that thing. Maybe there's something else in your life that you're obsessed with, that you know all of the details of, and that you put all of your life force into making that work. And so a lot of people are like, oh, but your job is not your purpose. And that is true. Your purpose is so much more than just your work. But we have to understand that there's such a big investment of our time, attention, and energy in our work that if we do the best that we can in any situation, if we give 100%, we will always be rewarded. And so really showing up, even in those jobs that we know are not right for us, showing up and giving it our all will open the potential for other great opportunities to come our way. Because we will no longer be able to tolerate to be in spaces where we're unrecognized, doing things that don't light us up, these whole structures that we deem to be absolutely foolproof are crumbling and tethering away. And so this idea of, I get my 14-month paycheck and I just clock in and I don't have responsibility. And every time somebody has to make a decision, I'm just gonna, push this to my supervisor because I don't have the capacity to deal with consequences, and I don't have the courage to know that I'm able to deal with difficult things, will actually stand in your way. And I think that this is a very great example of when the pandemic hit and we really saw a shift in how people were experiencing it. For people who were in an old paradigm consciousness, for people who didn't have spiritual awareness yet, it was an incredible challenging time in which suddenly, all of the noise that filled their day, that made them distract from their insights and their own internal dialogue and what their body and soul was communicating to them, suddenly went quiet. And they were forced to listen to their desires. They were forced to listen to their heart and their soul. And so many of you will switch to careers, change niche, started doing meditation, yoga, started taking care of your physical body. Like, there has been such a shift in awareness. And for those of us that were a step ahead and we're already tapped into that, for me, I started my human design business during the pandemic. And it was one of the most successful years I've ever had, personal, spiritual, financial. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And this is what's going to happen in the new paradigm as well. So if you think like, oh, I'm safe because I have a 9-to-5 and I have social security and the big corporation will take care of me, rest assured that is not a guarantee for you to be safe. Safety, ladies and gentlemen, is a construct, and unfortunately, and I think the past has shown us, it is not real. The only safety that you have is your inner authority. And if you don't know what your human design authority is, I have a whole video where I touch upon each and every of the authorities, so go check it out. But your inner authority, your inner voice, that is the thing that will guide you and will lead you onto the path of your purpose, no matter what is happening in the outside world. No matter what, like structures are crumbling. If you have 2000% certainty that your soul is guiding you into the right direction, that you can rely on your heart to do the right thing in a difficult moment, and that you have built the courage to know that you are brave enough to deal with the consequences of your actions, the new paradigm will come and you will be riding that wave, baby. You will be riding that wave, honey. You will just be like, really using that to your benefit. And so understanding that this is your time to listen to your inner voice. And if you feel that there's a shift needing to happen in your life, that you want to gain more awareness, that it's time to invest in yourself, that it's time to switch things up, then please do me a favor and actually take a moment to listen to yourself and ask yourself, what is a small step that you can start doing today that will assure that you have structures in place that allow you to listen to your heart and soul when the shift in consciousness arises. Once a year, I offer something that has the potential to transform your life. Are You the Chosen One is my 3-day live human design training that will unlock your potential and connect you to your divine purpose. Click the link in the description box below to claim your spot, and I can't wait to see you there. If you've enjoyed this video, please share with anybody who would use this information. As always, leave your comments below. They fill my heart beyond anything that you could ever imagine. YouTube has become the most incredible community to me. So thank you so much for everyone who takes a moment of their time to comment something. Leave me any questions that you have to follow up on this new paradigm theme. And as always, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and thank you so much for being here. Remember, I don't care what anybody says. I love you.